Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
The guest room became our private sanctuary as we lost ourselves in each other's embrace. The passion between us was electric, each touch igniting new waves of desire. We explored every inch of each other's bodies with a hunger that seemed insatiable. Let me share our story with you. We're your typical American couple in our early 30s, living what seemed like the perfect life. I landed a job at a prestigious Wall Street investment firm, and that's where I met Sarah, my wife. She was working for one of our client companies at the time, and she was a year older than me. The moment I laid eyes on her, I was hooked. She had this incredible warmth about her, and her genuine kindness just made her even more irresistible. After gathering my courage for what felt like forever, I finally asked her out, and my heart soared when she said yes. Dating Sarah was like finding my other half. We spent our weekends exploring trendy brunch spots and taking these amazing walks through Central Park, just talking about everything and nothing. Each date made me fall deeper in love, and before I knew it, I was absolutely certain she was the one. We got married when she was 29, and I couldn't have been happier. She was this amazingly thoughtful person who always made me feel heard and understood. Sarah had this gift for making friends, and she had quite a circle. Before the wedding, they would often drag me along to these cool Manhattan bars, eager to size up their friend's new man. After we tied the knot, our Brooklyn place became the go-to spot for get-togethers. All those nights of sharing wine and swapping stories made me feel like I'd gained a whole new group of friends. Then came this weird moment that changed everything. Sarah just randomly asked me one day, "So, do you find any of my friends attractive?" I nearly choked on my drink and stammered, "What are you talking about?" Trying to keep my cool, I said something like, "Come on, they're basically my friends too. I don't think of them that way." But if I'm being honest, that wasn't exactly the truth. Among Sarah's 3 single friends, there was Ashley. God, she was something else. This tall, gorgeous blonde with these innocent features and a figure that could stop traffic. She was killing it as a designer at some fancy New York fashion house, and honestly, from the first time I saw her, I thought she belonged on magazine covers. Whenever Ashley came around, my heart would go crazy, and I'd turn into this awkward mess. Sarah kept pressing the issue, saying stuff like, "Are you sure there's nobody you like? Just be honest with me." I kept denying it until she finally dropped the bomb. "What about Ashley?" My heart practically stopped right there. Sarah just casually mentioned, Ashley's actually the most sought-after one in our group. She's single because she wants to be, apparently. She's got quite a few Wall Street guys chasing after her. I just played dumb, trying to figure out where this conversation was heading. When Sarah saw how I was reacting, she threw out this suggestion that made my head spin. "Maybe we should have Ashley over sometime, just her?" I tried brushing it off with a quick, "Don't joke about stuff like that." At the time, I thought Sarah was just testing me out of jealousy, but man, was I wrong about that one. Things stayed pretty normal for a few days, but then this one Friday afternoon, while I was stuck at my Manhattan office, Sarah called. "Ashley's coming over tonight. We'll open some wine. Try to get home early." I froze when I heard that. I couldn't figure out what Sarah was up to, but there was this weird excitement building up inside me that I couldn't shake. "Just Ashley?" I asked, trying to sound casual, and Sarah confirmed it. The rest of that workday felt like it would never end. My heart was pounding, and even though I tried to act normal, I couldn't stop watching the clock, counting down the minutes until I could leave. I have to admit, Ashley captured my attention instantly. She was absolutely stunning, blessed with flawless skin, a figure that turned heads everywhere she went, and an impeccable sense of style. To be completely honest, when I first met her before my marriage, I found her even more beautiful than Sarah. When Sarah recently asked about which of her friends I found attractive and brought up Ashley's name, I felt my heart stop, as if she had somehow peered into my deepest thoughts. Now she was inviting Ashley over, and I was completely baffled by her intentions. I started wondering if my attraction to Ashley had been more obvious than I'd realized. Arriving home to our Brooklyn apartment after work, I discovered Sarah and Ashley already tipsy from wine, preparing steaks in the kitchen. The atmosphere felt unusual. Sarah had on this stunning dress I rarely saw her wear, while Ashley looked like she'd stepped straight out of a fashion magazine. After exchanging greetings, we settled in comfortably. Being the youngest in the group had its perks. Sarah's friends always treated me casually, which helped keep things relaxed. When I went to change in the bedroom, Sarah followed me with a knowing smile and teased, "I can tell you're happy Ashley's here. Your face gives it away." She playfully nudged me as she said it. I reminded myself to be careful tonight. One slip up and Sarah would never let me forget it. I made a mental note to stay vigilant. But returning to the living room, I found they'd already finished one bottle of wine and were opening some special Valentine's Day whiskey they discovered. "Let's get this party started," Sarah announced with an enthusiastic smile, and the mood became even more casual. As we gathered around the grill, whether it was my good spirits or something else, the food and drinks seemed especially enjoyable. We kept raising our glasses while cooking, and before I realized it, the whiskey bottle was more than halfway empty. There was an undeniable tension in the air that evening, and the alcohol felt particularly potent. Despite our laughter and conversation, I couldn't help but try to read Sarah's true intentions. She'd never been great with alcohol, and predictably, her cheeks were flushed and her eyes were becoming unfocused. Ashley, however, remained remarkably poised despite the drinking. Ashley maintained her composure perfectly regardless of how much she drank. Meanwhile, the whiskey was taking its toll on me, making me drowsy. Though I tried to maintain my clarity, the alcohol was making it increasingly difficult. Sarah was clearly drunk at this point, sitting there with a perpetual giggle while gazing at me. Ashley observed this and quipped, "You must be something special if just looking at you makes her this happy." When the conversation started taking a flirtatious turn, I attempted to redirect it by asking Ashley why someone as attractive as her hadn't settled down yet. She responded with a simple smile, explaining that marriage wasn't in her immediate plans. She still had too many life experiences she wanted to pursue first. Then Sarah playfully chimed in with a mischievous grin. "Come on, don't you want to live a little before settling down?" Ashley let out a flirtatious laugh that filled the room. "Trust me, I'm sampling all the eligible bachelors Manhattan has to offer." The atmosphere was light and playful, but I could feel the alcohol starting to cloud my judgment and knew it was time to slow down. That's when Sarah threw me completely off guard. "You know something?" she said, her words slightly slurred. "My husband actually thinks you're the most gorgeous of all my friends." My stomach dropped. I felt exposed, like my secret thoughts had been laid bare. Yes, Ashley was stunning, but hearing my wife announce it so brazenly made me want to sink into the floor. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks as beads of sweat formed on my forehead. Scrambling to maintain my composure, I forced a laugh and said, "Hey, Ashley's beautiful, no doubt, but nobody compares to my wife." I hoped my attempt at damage control would ease the tension. Then I tried changing the subject by suggesting Sarah had maybe had enough to drink. "No way," Sarah waved me off with a dismissive hand. "The night's still young. Go to bed if you're tired." Even though I knew she was drunk enough that this would probably be a blur tomorrow, I couldn't shake this nagging feeling of unease. Her comment about Ashley's beauty kept echoing in my head. I couldn't stop wondering if this was some kind of test Sarah was putting me through. Eventually, the situation felt too precarious to stick around, so I mumbled something about being exhausted and retreated to the bedroom. Their laughter followed me down the hallway as I left. After a quick bedtime routine in the bathroom, I crawled under the covers. Through the walls, I could hear their muffled voices and the occasional clink of glasses, just two friends enjoying each other's company. But those innocent sounds kept me tossing and turning, sleep just out of reach. The clock read almost 10 p.m. when I finally gave up and flicked on the TV, letting some mindless drama play until exhaustion finally won out. I have no idea how much time had passed when I felt someone gently shaking my shoulder. I opened my heavy eyes to find Ashley standing beside the bed, her figure silhouetted in the darkness. The alcohol was still making my head fuzzy, and for a moment, I couldn't make sense of why she was in our bedroom. "I'm really sorry to wake you," she said softly, "but Sarah's passed out cold in the living room. I need your help." That got my attention real quick. I hurried to the living room where I found Sarah sprawled across the floor, looking worse for wear. Ashley filled me in. After I'd gone to bed, they'd polished off every last drop of alcohol in the house until Sarah finally crashed. I tried rousing her, but she was completely unresponsive. I couldn't tell if this was just a heavy drunk sleep or something more serious. After helping Sarah get cleaned up and tucked into bed, I finished straightening up the living room. The clock showed 2 a.m., but despite how tired I was, I just couldn't fall asleep. The apartment had fallen into this weird, heavy silence. I could still feel the buzz from the alcohol, and there was this electric tension in the air I couldn't shake. I headed to the kitchen, grabbed 2 beers from the fridge, and looked over at Ashley, who was still perched on the couch. "Up for one more?" I asked in a low voice. She took a moment, then flashed me this smile that made my stomach flip. We settled in next to each other on the couch, the crack of our beer cans breaking through the late-night quiet. Ashley held up her can, suggesting a toast. There was just something about her voice that drew me in. It was gentle but had this pull to it I couldn't resist. The soft clink of our cans and the cold beer helped ease my nerves. As we talked, I saw a whole new side of Ashley. She was so real, so down to earth, and it fit perfectly with the calm Manhattan night around us. "You know what makes this so nice?" Ashley said softly. "Just sitting here, talking like this. No pressure." I couldn't have agreed more. We ended up having this amazing heart-to-heart about everything. The crazy world of Wall Street, relationship drama, personal stuff we'd never shared before. The more we talked, the closer I felt to her, and I couldn't ignore how attracted I was. The thought of what might happen next kept running through my mind. Around 3 a.m., I decided it was probably time to call it a night and showed her to the guest room. I brought her some blankets and turned to leave, but she grabbed my wrist. Her eyes were full of emotion as she whispered, "I need to tell you something. I've had feelings for you for a while. Tonight, I want to be with you." My heart started pounding like crazy, and this wave of desire hit me hard. The fact that she wanted me, this absolutely gorgeous woman who could have been a model, felt like something straight out of a dream as I moved closer to her. Her body was breathtaking. Her smooth, fair skin seemed to glow in the dim light, and her elegant curves made my head spin with desire. When I leaned in to kiss her, the world disappeared. There was only the softness of her lips and the sweet, intoxicating scent of her perfume mixed with wine. We took our time exploring each other, every touch gentle yet electric. Her delicate fingers traced lazy patterns on my neck, making me shiver as we gave in to the passion we'd been fighting for so long. Each caress sent jolts of electricity through my body, building until it felt like my skin was on fire. When our eyes met, the intensity between us was almost too much to bear. No words could capture the raw emotion of that moment. The guest room became our private sanctuary as we lost ourselves in each other's embrace. The passion between us was electric, each touch igniting new waves of desire. We explored every inch of each other's bodies with a hunger that seemed insatiable. The connection was so intense that one encounter wasn't nearly enough. We made love again and again, 5 times throughout the night, until we finally collapsed into each other's arms, completely spent. Every detail of that night, the way she moved, the softness of her skin, the sound of her breath, is permanently etched into my memory like a beautiful, forbidden dream. The next morning, Sarah was barely able to get out of bed, dealing with one of the worst hangovers she'd ever had. When Ashley and I caught each other's eyes across the kitchen, we exchanged a quick, secret smile. I busied myself making a hearty brunch for everyone. Before Ashley left, Sarah looked up from her plate of eggs and coffee, her voice still groggy. Hey, nothing weird happened between you two while I was knocked out last night, right? I met her gaze steadily and replied, Of course not. Nothing happened. From that day on, Ashley found more and more reasons to drop by our place on her own. We had our routine down to a science. Make sure Sarah had enough wine to drift off into a deep sleep, then sneak away to the guest room where we could be together. Our secret affair continued like this for months, until I recently heard through the grapevine that Ashley had gotten engaged to some up-and-coming actor out in Los Angeles. Even though it stings knowing our relationship had to come to an end, I'll always treasure those stolen moments we shared in the quiet nights of Manhattan.